He's Rodney Harrison, former great defensive back with the Patriots, now a member of Football Night in America, also a former Charger. And, Rodney, let me start with the game last night. The Colts dig themselves in a hole, and then they somehow pulled the game out. Are they a contender, like a Super Bowl contender from what you've seen and the injuries they have?
No, I don't think they are, Dan. I think losing Reggie Wayne, that's just too tough of an injury to overcome. You look at their offensive line and their struggles, and the fact that this is still a team that's really young and immature. The last 3 weeks they've gotten behind. And when you start really playing against the really good teams like, the Patriots, in the playoffs I'm talking, in Denver, you can't afford, and even Kansas City, you can't afford to get behind and start slow.
Is it good gamesmanship if you're the Chiefs to go after Peyton's ankle?
Of course it is.
I mean, is that fair game?
Oh, yeah, of course it is, as long as it's legal. I mean, if I know a wide receiver, I know if his shoulder is bothering him, I'm not gonna hit him low. I'm gonna try to hit him in that shoulder because I know that's a weak spot of his. Just like if that wide receiver sees a weakness in our defense, they're gonna try to attack it. So I think it's not just X's and O's where you have that philosophy, but I think if a guy's injured, you have to attack his weakness.
And, that's why the NFL has these injury reports. And did you guys read those injury reports when you're facing a team?
I really didn't pay much attention. Maybe the star players, maybe like the quarterback, maybe the top running back and the wide receiver from a defensive standpoint. And, a lot of the special teams guys, you really didn't care because those weren't the guys that you're going to face anyway. But you paid attention to it, especially if it, pertained to the top guys.
And it's hard to get to Peyton Manning in the first place, but we've seen him take a few more hits this year than normal. Why is that?
It's once again, it's this offensive line, not really. Once they lost Ryan Clady, their starting left tackle, all pro. I mean, that really. Then you have to shuffle a few guys around, and then the continuity and the chemistry is not there. They struggled. They played against some good pass rushing teams, and teams don't necessarily have to blitz Peyton to get to Peyton. And Kansas City is one of those teams where you can just go out and rush your front four, play some good defense. But this is going to be a fun matchup because I anticipate Kansas City playing a lot of man-to-man coverage, similar to what the Colts did against Peyton, and allowing their front four to get after Peyton and try to hit him as much as possible.
Will you look at the Chiefs differently if they win this game?
I definitely would. I think, to me, I think everyone would. You always have that. You're a little bit skeptical and say, well, they really haven't played anybody. Andy Reid, you got to give him a lot of credit. I mean, turning this program around, the mentality of this team, and just the way they've executed this year. But I think if they can beat the Colts, which everyone has the Colts basically as the top team in the AFC, maybe Kansas City second and the Patriots the third, I think you have to give them a lot of props because they just keep taking care of business regardless of who the opponent is.
He's Rodney Harrison joining us, Dan Patrick Show. You can participate in the Tostitos Tailgate Throwdown Sweepstakes. Fans have a chance to win a trip to the 2014 Vizio BCS National Title Game, January 6th. All you have to do is post your pregame party pics or tailgating party pics. Hashtag Tostitos Tailgate via Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. More information on Facebook.com/Tostitos. Poll question today. Give the poll question to Rodney, since I know you coach youth football. Get your thoughts on this.
If you had a 10-year-old son, would you encourage him or discourage him to play football?
I wouldn't do either, to be honest with you. I would allow him. And at 10 years old, I mean, my son has been playing football since he was 6. And each year they become even more aware, they become smart, and they know if they want to be involved in a sport or an activity. So, I look at my sons every year and I say, hey, man, what do you want to do? Do you want to play baseball? Do you want to play, soccer? What do you want to do? And they're old enough at 9 and 10 to really, point out if they want to play, if they don't want to play. So, I mean, that's a process that we do each and every year. So I wouldn't try to encourage him or I wouldn't try to discourage him. I'll allow him to make his own decision.
But you see injuries even in Pop Warner, where kids will suffer concussions. That would bother me if my son is playing. As a father, there's only so much you can do to protect your kids. But at some point, do you say to yourself, should I be exposing them or allowing them to be a part of this? And if they get good, they're going to continue to play. The longer you play, the more susceptible you are to having some kind of damage to you.
It is. A lot of physical sports that you do, there are obviously a lot of risk, Dan, but I think also it's your job as a parent to expose your kids to different things, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, spiritual, educational-wise. You have to allow your kids to grow, and I think, participating in sports and other activities gives them the opportunity to find out and really shape their lives and their personalities. What are their likes? What are their dislikes, and things of that sort. But like I said, I think it comes a point in time where, if you're 8, 9, 10 years old, these kids know if they want to go out there and put a helmet on, if they want to hit somebody or not.
Well, plus the way you played, and even when I've stood with you on the sideline with a game, and you go, I don't know how I played this game. I've told people, if you watched a game from the sideline, you would have a completely different opinion about playing that for a living.
No question about it, Dan. And I tell you this, man, I sit on the sideline with you every week. I watch those games in the viewing room with you and Dungy, and it scares the heck out of me. There's no way I can imagine going back out on that field. And even when I hurt my knee and I was on the brink of retirement, when the Atlanta Falcons had a lot of interest in me, Thomas Dimitroff wanted me to come. Coach Mike Smith met with him, and then the NBC offer was on the table, and I decided to play, and it was a heck of a lot of money than what I'm getting paid now, which is still, great money. But it was an opportunity for me to play, and I couldn't play. I couldn't imagine myself going back out on that field with those big guys. I'm scared to death. I don't see how I did it for 15 years. You get a different perspective looking at it on the sideline, and those guys are just so big and so much violent contact. I don't see how guys don't get their careers ended each and every week because, it's so violent out there.
It was ear-opening, not eye-opening, but just the sound of football at that level on the sidelines. I'm 6'3", 200, and I look at these guys and I go, oh, my God. I just couldn't imagine, because they know how to hit, the whole force with that, and it's a violent it's two cars crashing into each other.
And I tell you, man, and, and that's the thing, and you alluded to it earlier. You talk about your kids, and that's the thing that you're concerned about because there's no pill, there's no injection, there's no medicine that you could take really, to reverse the signs of concussions and brain damage and the constant pounding that you take when you're out there on that football field. And I know a lot of football players that are feeling the ill effects. Guys 32 years old walking around, can't even golf, can't lift weights, have back problems, neck problems. They can't bend down and pick up their kids. Just a lot of different issues young men are going through, and that's something that I'm afraid of to a certain extent. I'm 40 years old. I'll be 41 this year, and I don't know what's going to happen 10 years from now. Obviously, I took a chance. I wanted to go out there. Would I trade it? Would I do it over again? Yes, I would do it all over again because now I know the risk. Back then, did I know the risk? Not really, because as a young kid, you don't really pay attention to the risk. But football has been really good to me, and if I have to suffer later, then that's just something I have to do.
Have you been tested?
I haven't been tested just yet. You test me each and every week when I'm on board with you,
But do you want to know? Part of me would be I don't want to find out if I've got some kind of brain damage or CTE.
Yeah, I know I probably do, and I'm hanging in there right now, and things are going well. I'm keeping myself busy, and I have kids, and I'm coaching, and I'm doing things with you guys, which really keeps my mind focused. I read a lot. I try to keep my mind active and try to keep my body active and productive, and I think that's one thing that a lot of players don't do. They're not very productive. Once they retire, they start feeling sorry for themselves. Maybe they don't start a business venture or educate themselves, go back to school, but it's so important to keep your mind occupied, keep it busy, and keep striving and reaching for different goals.
But isn't there part of you that wants to know to begin treating it if you do have brain damage?
Yeah, to a certain degree, Dan, and it's just I've been so busy and I really haven't paid, much attention to it. But I think maybe since you mentioned it, it's something that's been mentioned to me by someone else close to me, and maybe in the future. But right now, I think I'm pretty solid. I still have, a lot of my senses, and I'm doing okay. So, maybe in the future I'll look into it.
Not too distant future.
I appreciate that, Dan.
All right, buddy. I'll see you on Sunday.
Take care. Thanks.
All right, Rodney Harrison, Football Night in America.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.